This is a Leucadendron Jester, and it burned pretty good. Just look down there at the bottom where things are quite brown. I already pruned the tops off a lot of these branches because the tips were very burned, but obviously it's not a dead plant. One of the things I'd say to do is, if you get in here, you see these dead leaves, they come right off. The plant naturally cleans itself, so I'd say take the time, now that it's spring, see how those all come right off, and clean that up. So let's look at over here. These are Leucospermum, and I have various types of Leucadendron I've been testing, and see, they're all alive. That's what this is, that's what that one is. Got one over here, winter red. Didn't even react to the cold, and it got down in the low 20s a number of times. The Leucospermum are a different story, and so I was out here yesterday looking at these, and so the question is this thing dead or alive? And one of the first things I look for are there any buds starting to pop on the side? And so if you see these leaves coming off, that's a bad sign. And then some of this you can tell by color. I mean, these things are very brittle. That already tells me it's not looking good. So if I break that and look at it, if you see that, see how there's no green viable foliage in there? So then what, wood. So what I'm gonna do is go deeper now into this branch and see what I find. And what I find is wood, dry, brown, not viable wood. This plant is dead, at least down in that part of the plant. So I've got nothing to lose at this point. I'm going to cut even deeper. Yeah, same thing. So this guy's dead, and I've gotten quite low in the plant at this point, and that tells me he's a goner. Alright, so I've got another one over here of a different variety, and again, it doesn't look good, so I'm just gonna cut and see what I find. Yep, it's brown just like the other one. I'm gonna cut deeper. It's brown as well. These guys are done. This plant is Caprasma Tequila Sunrise, and probably the most damaged family of plants we had this winter was Caprasmas. It's interesting, I've got some that are, one in my courtyard, it didn't even burn this winter, and then I've got this one out here looking like this, and then I have Caprasma Rainbow Surprise, and the top foliage, as you saw in that other video, burned pretty good, but the plant's already pushing new growth. So depending on your microclimate and other variables, you're going to have varying degrees of damage to these plants. And so what I want to know now is this plant dead? Because it looks like it's dead. And certainly we don't want to have to replace dozens of plants, or even a few if we don't have to. So I want to know if I should leave this and let it recover as things get warmer, or if it's done for. So as I showed you before, what I do is I cut the foliage, one of the stems, and I look at how that looks. Now, see how that's whitish and a little green around the cambium layer? That's still a viable plant. You saw in those Leucospermum, that was a very different color. See how that's whitish in there? So that's a really good sign. The other thing then I look for are buds, to see if this thing's trying to push any new budwood and any new buds. I don't see any on here. I did find a couple of new buds. See back here on this limb? See that little green guy there? Here's another one. So that kind of reinforces that this is just going to take some time to recover as things warm up. This is a really good sign. See that little leaf there? And there's one over there. So there's a few leaves on here. Oh, here's a stray over here on the tip. So the plant's still alive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here, and like on the other video that I showed you on how to prune, I'll come in here and prune this a little to lower the demand on the plant and remove any burned or dead wood on these tips. Because out here on the end, see how that snapped? But even that has a little white inside the stem, so it's a really good sign. This one obviously took a beating, but it is not dead, so I'm going to leave it and do what I can to help it recover.